This story was shared by a property manager in Seoul. He worked the same apartment complex for almost 12 years. He didn't believe in ghosts. He dealt with noise complaints, unpaid rent, and tenants who disappeared. That was his job. He said there was only one case he could never explain. It started with a man in his late 20s. He moved into a studio apartment on the 4th floor. No family, no visitors. He paid 6 months upfront and kept to himself. For the first 2 weeks, there were no issues. Then the emails started. The tenant asked if there had ever been complaints about someone knocking on doors late at night. He said it happened at exactly 2:17 a.m. 3 nights in a row, always one knock, slow, polite. The manager told him it was probably a neighbor or someone confusing the floor. Old buildings carried sound. The tenant replied that he had checked the hallway every time. No one was there. A few days later, another message came in. This time, the tenant mentioned a woman. He said she stood directly in front of his door. She bowed deeply and didn't say a word. She wore traditional clothing, something ceremonial, white. He assumed it was for a funeral. The manager asked if she looked injured or intoxicated. The tenant said no, just wet around the sleeves. The manager forwarded the email to security. They checked the cameras on the 4th floor. Nothing appeared on the footage. At 2:17 a.m. No woman, no movement, no tenant opening the door, just the hallway lights turning on and off. After that, the tenant stopped emailing. 2 days passed, then 3. On the 5th day, another resident complained about a smell coming from the 4th floor. Not strong, just damp, like old rain soaked into fabric. The manager went up with a security guard. The tenant's door was unlocked. Inside, the apartment was clean. No signs of a struggle, no packed bags, no phone, no wallet. The bed looked slept in. The bathroom floor was wet, and on the inside of the front door, at knee level, there were faint marks in the wood. 4 long streaks pressed downward, as if someone had rested their hands there while bowing. The tenant was never found. No bank activity, no passport use, no CCTV footage showing him leaving the building. The police listed it as a voluntary disappearance. Months later, a new tenant moved into the same unit. Within a week, she contacted the manager. She asked if someone had died in the apartment. When he asked why, she hesitated before answering. She said every night at 2:17 a.m. she heard someone outside her door, not knocking, just standing there and waiting. The manager transferred her to another unit the same day. He said that floor has had more unexplained vacancies than any other in the building. Tenants leave quietly, sometimes overnight, sometimes without collecting their deposits. No one ever opens the door, because the residents who've lived there the longest all know the same thing. The woman doesn't knock to be let in. She bows to acknowledge what's already hers. And when she stops appearing outside your door, it's because she's already inside. Everyone in the neighborhood knew about the morning rooms. In most apartment complexes across South Korea, there was a small, quiet space on the ground floor reserved for wakes. When someone died, families gathered there. It was normal, expected, except in Building C. Building C was old but well maintained. Tucked between newer towers, families lived there for years. Children grew up, elderly residents passed away, and yet No one had ever seen a funeral. Everyone had seen the plaque beside the stairwell, but it had never been used, not once. At first, residents assumed it was under renovation. Then they assumed it was a management issue. Eventually, people stopped asking. He liked the place because it was quiet. Too quiet, some said. Then he noticed the smell. It wasn't constant. It came late at night, usually after midnight. A faint scent of incense mixed with something sour. One night, Junho followed it. The smell led him down the stairwell. Morning room. The door was unlocked. That alone unsettled him. Inside, the room was spotless. No dust, no furniture. Just a long, low table in the center and a drain in the floor. The lights flickered weakly, as if they hadn't been turned on in years. There was nothing else. No photos, no candles, no chairs. Junho told himself it was nothing. Maybe the room had finally been reopened. But the next morning, the door was locked again. When he asked the building manager about it, the man stiffened. "That room isn't for residents," he said quickly. "Please don't go inside again." Junho laughed it off, but the manager didn't smile back. A week later, an elderly woman on the third floor died in her sleep. Everyone expected a wake. None happened. Her apartment was cleared within 2 days. Her name disappeared from the mailbox. And the morning room remained locked. One woman crossed herself and told him to mind his own business. Another whispered that the dead in Building C didn't stay dead long enough. Eventually, a drunk security guard told him the truth. Years ago, a funeral had been held in that room. Just one. A young man had died after falling from the rooftop. His family held the wake overnight, but before dawn, the body sat up on the table. Not screaming, not thrashing, just breathing. The family ran. By the time police arrived, the body was gone. A week later, the man's mother was found wandering the stairwell, calling her son's name. She was later committed to a hospital. The morning room was sealed. After that, whenever someone died in Building C, strange things happened. Neighbors would swear they saw them in the elevator, quiet, pale, eyes unfocused, until he found the writing. Late one night, the smell returned, stronger this time. The morning room door was unlocked again. Inside, the walls were different. Names had been written in black ink, dozens of them, floor to ceiling, each followed by a date, birth dates. At the bottom of the far wall, freshly written, was Junho's name. The death date was 3 days away. He stumbled back, heart racing, and ran out. They told him he was stressed, hallucinating. That night, his phone rang at 2:17 a.m. The caller ID showed his own number. When he answered, there was only breathing, slow, wet, familiar. The next day, Junho packed his bags. But he never left. Neighbors later said they heard shouting from his apartment that night, furniture scraping, a voice arguing with someone who wasn't there. By morning, his door was open. The apartment was empty. No signs of a struggle. No body. 3 days later, the morning room was unlocked. For the first time in decades, a wake was held in Building C. Residents said the body looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Eyes closed, hands folded. But some swore the chest was rising and falling. The door was sealed again before sunrise. And when management updated the resident registry the next week, Junho's name was already crossed out. The first thing Min-jae noticed was how quiet the driver became when he said the destination. It was close to midnight, the kind of hour when Seoul feels hollowed out, traffic thins, neon lights buzz louder than they should, and every reflection in a window looks like it's watching you back. Min-jae had just finished a late shift at a convenience store on the edge of the city and called a taxi to get home. The route was simple, straight road. One bridge, 10 minutes, maybe less. When Min-jae said the address, the driver's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Anywhere but that bridge, the driver said after a moment. His voice was calm, but strained, like he was trying not to sound afraid. Min-jae laughed softly, thinking it was a joke. There isn't another way. The taxi slowed near the intersection where the road curved toward the old bridge. Streetlights flickered ahead, their light dimmer over the water, as if something was swallowing it. "I'll take you close," the driver said, eyes fixed forward. "But I don't cross after midnight." Min-jae asked why. The driver shook his head. "Because the river doesn't forget." That was when Min-jae noticed something else. The taxi meter wasn't running. The driver explained that he stopped using it at night, said it caused arguments. Min-jae didn't press further. He just wanted to get home. They reached the entrance of the bridge. It was older than most in the city. Concrete cracked, guardrails rusted, emergency phones vandalized, and useless. People said jumpers used to choose it before the city put up barriers years ago. People also said the barriers didn't help. The driver pulled the car to a stop. "This is as far as I go," he said. Min-jae leaned forward. "It's right there. Just drive across." The driver finally turned to face him. His eyes were bloodshot, tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. "You're not my first passenger tonight," he said quietly. "You're just the first one who's breathing." The air inside the taxi felt suddenly thick. Min-jae stared at him, waiting for a laugh that never came. The driver continued, voice low. "They stand by the river after midnight, wet clothes, bare feet. They ask for rides home. Same address, every time. Right across that bridge." Min-jae told him to stop, said it wasn't funny. "I never take them all the way," the driver said. "I stop here. They get out. They walk onto the bridge. And every time, the river takes them back." Min-jae reached for the door handle, but the driver spoke again. "If you get out now," he said, "don't look down." Min-jae didn't ask why. He stepped out of the taxi. The night air smelled like metal and algae. The river below moved slowly, black and thick, reflecting nothing. The taxi drove off immediately, tires squealing as if the driver couldn't leave fast enough. Min-jae stood alone at the mouth of the bridge. Halfway across, he noticed something strange. The pavement was wet, though it hadn't rained. Dark footprints led toward the center, many of them barefoot. He walked faster. That was when he heard splashing. Not from below, but beside him. A woman stood near the guardrail. Her clothes clung to her skin, soaked through. Long hair plastered to her face. She didn't look at Min-jae. She just stared at the water. "Is it past midnight?" she asked. Min-jae didn't answer. She nodded anyway. "I missed my stop." Then she climbed over the railing. Min-jae ran the rest of the way home and didn't sleep until morning. The next day, curiosity won. He searched news archives, old forums, forgotten posts. He found dozens of stories. Taxi drivers refusing routes, passengers vanishing near the bridge, bodies recovered miles downstream with no identification. One detail appeared again and again. The drowned were always found facing upstream, as if they were trying to go back. Weeks later, Min Jae saw the same taxi parked near the river during daylight. He approached, heart pounding. The driver looked older somehow, smaller. Min Jae asked him why he kept driving nights if he knew what waited at the bridge. The driver sighed. "Someone has to bring them close," he said. "They can't cross alone." Before Min Jae could respond, the driver added one last thing. "The river lets the living cross once," he said. "After that, it starts counting." Min Jae never took that bridge again. But sometimes, late at night, he swears he hears water dripping behind him. Soft footsteps, barefoot on concrete, following him home.